So crazy thing, I recorded this on my laptop mic, but I guess it never caught it because none of the sound is here. So here we go again. I'm going to do this a second time. What's up guys, it's YuGiOh Bros with another Duel video. Before I get started, I just wanted to tell you guys the schedule is probably changing from Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos to Tuesday and Thursday videos. Reason being is just I've been extremely busy the last couple weeks and I don't want to fault the channel at all. Therefore, instead of doing Monday, Wednesday, and maybe a Friday, let's just do a Tuesday and Thursday. And if I do a third video, then expect it on Friday or Saturday of the week. That way, it's a little bit more consistent and a little bit more spread out through the week. That way, you know, you guys still get the content. I did say way back when I first started the redo on the channel that the videos would be 2 to 3 videos a week. And I tried very hard to keep it at 3 if I could, but lately it's been a lot harder to do that, so definitely 2, expect 2. This time, instead of a top 10, I want to do a video where we test some of the stuff that I've been predicting, and keep in mind that obviously these are my predictions, and actually there's skill in this that we test that definitely probably won't make it to Speed Duels, or at least not as broken as we made it. Maybe a little bit dumbed down. I'll explain it in a second. But basically, we are playing. Oh god, this is gonna be tough. I gotta record over this. We are playing Unions versus. I guess the sound doesn't matter. Unions versus Conflict Warrior, and we have to play in the regular version here versus in the Speed Duel section because there are too many cards. We couldn't proxy everything. Sometimes if you proxy like 1 or 2 cards, it's a little bit easier. So we're trying Union Hanger as a skill, where at the start of the duel, you place it in your field zone, you draw 1 less card, like the field zone skills have activated so far. And then we gave it a once per duel. During your main phase, you can add a light machine from your deck to your hand, and then the other effect is once per turn if a light monster, Union monster, is normal or special summon, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and then put a different light Union machine with a different name from your deck to it, and then you can't special summon it that turn. That effect is once per turn here. It obviously, if this actually came to Speed Duels, I'd expect this to be once per duel. I'd expect both effects to be once per duel. But we tested it as it was a once per turn still, just to see how it would go, because it's still in the field zone. So they start out with a defense and a face down and pass. We draw into Y Dragon Head. We have Y Dragon Head, Frontline Base, Machina Peacekeeper, and Iron Draw. We're going to use Hanger's first effect, the once per duel effect, to add a light Union. Keep in mind, Hanger can only add Y and Z. We can't add X Head Cannon because X Head Cannon is not a Union, it's a normal monster. So the deck actually favors Y and Z a lot more than it does the other. We're going to start out with Frontline Base. This card is solid, letting us special summon a level 4 or lower Union from our hand. I don't see how we won't get Frontline Base in this set. So we drop Z Metal Tank immediately, which actually lets us do a lot of combos because this gets out 2 monsters. So we are going to then normal summon our Y Dragon Head. This lets us, in theory, then use our skill Union Hanger to equip a Z Metal Tank. Z Metal Tank now gives our Y Dragon Head a 600 attack boost, which is really cute. And now we have exactly 2 effect machine monsters to activate our Iron Draw from our hand. And this card's really cool. I didn't think it'd be as consistent in this deck as it is, but Frontline Base allows you to do so. If you have exactly 2 effect machine monsters and no other monsters, you can draw 2 cards. For the rest of the turn, you can only special summon once, and you can only activate 1 per turn. But what's cute about that is that at this point, we'd only ever special summon once extra if we were going into our fusion option. But in my opinion, it's actually better here to sit on a monster that if it dies by battle or card effect, the equip dies instead, and then another 1500 beat stick. We're going to set Offerings to the Doom, and we're going to swing in direct. And what's cute is that this thing, like I said, it's a 600 boost, so our Y Dragon Head is actually 2100, and I'd rather have a 2100 and a Z Metal Tank than just a 2100. So we'll swing over the Command Knight, and then we'll have Z swing in directly for 1500. At the end phase, they're going to flip Zone of the Spirit, and they're going to draw. They're going to activate their Inner Conflict, paying half their life points and taking control of our Y Dragon Head. We could Offerings here, but keep in mind Z Metal Tank will be destroyed instead if the monster was destroyed by other card effects. So in that sense, there's no reason to. Unfortunately, we're going to minus here with losing 2 cards, and they summon Gap. But what's done is done. It's unfortunate because these things protect from battle and card effect, but if you contribute between either like Gap or Parasite Paranoid, it gets around it. So unfortunately, we can't do anything here. Zoma will do 300 to us, and we'll Offerings the Gap. We don't draw, but I've learned that this doesn't really matter, assuming we can, use Hanger here more than once per duel. We're going to use Frontline based to special summon Peacekeeper. We're going to normal summon XZ Cannon, and then we're going to use Union Hanger to add a Y Dragon Head to it. So now our XZ Cannon is 2200, and keep in mind, I'm not sure how this is exactly worded. There used to be a rule that you can only put 1 unit on a monster at a time, but ever since the Kaiba Reloaded deck, I believe that was the ABC deck, they've since got rid of that clause. I checked some old rulings, and it says it no longer applies, but again, I don't know if the rulings are up to date or not. So we're going to go here like we can equip multiple monsters. But do also keep in mind that the more monsters you equip, the less spell and trap zones you have, and as you see currently, we don't have any free zones. So we're going to have X-Headed Cannon swing in here, double protected between both of these. He's 2200, so they will take 400, and we will take the 22, but that's fine, it gets rid of the Zoma, and they draw. They're going to set a Command Knight, and they're going to pass. They really can't do anything with these 2 other monsters in hand. We draw into X-Head Cannon. We'll summon Y Dragon Head through its effect, where we can either once per turn equip it to a monster or unequip it and special summon it. And then we will, the normal X-Head Cannon, use our Hanger's effect and equip our Z Metal Tank to X. So now X is 2400. Again, we could fuse here, but we don't have the right requirements on the field to destroy face down monsters. We would need Y and Z present. We could banish them. You can banish them from the spell and trap, but at this point, we don't have a card to discard. We might as well just go in. So we effectively get over and no problem, and going into game 2. So not a bad start. Obviously, I don't think Union Hanger will be, if we ever got it as a skill, I think both effects would be once per duel, similar to what they did with Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. And in the field zone, of course, it has the ability to be more busted because it sits on the field versus being outside the game. But the trade-off still wouldn't. I don't think they'd make the card insane like that. So going into game 2, they set the world here. I believe it's Dust Tornado, Nightmare Wheel, and Zoma, and then they summon the Gearfried and they pass. So we will draw. Yeah, Zoma, Wheel, Nightmare. There we go. Yep. I knew I hovered him over at one point, so it's hard to coordinate this. We're going to activate Union Hanger. They're going to Dust Tornado it, so unfortunately we won't get our search. But no worries, we still have plays. We're going to Frontline base, and the upside is that Dust Tornado killed the field spell, so now our base can activate and special summon Z, and then why don't we just old-fashioned drop Jinzo and set the offerings, and we just swing in here. So nice little defense that this deck has, and capable through Frontline base is dropping Jinzo as early as turn 1 to get over their monster, and we kind of just sit on Jinzo until we build up our defenses. They draw a Nightmare Wheel and pass because they figure we might as well keep that zone open. We draw a Peacekeeper and normal summon it, swinging in for 500 direct and Jinzo for 24, putting them down to 500 so that either attack ends up being lethal. They draw here into Gap the Divine Soldier, so they will go ahead and use their conflict skill, paying half their life points, which at this point is a measly 250. Take our Jinzo, which is huge, and not only could they bluff us, we could offerings, but why would we take the chance? Turning on all their back row. They're going to tribute it for Gap, so now not only does everything get forced to attack mode, granted Peacekeeper was already in attack mode, but all their traps are live. We're going to offerings the Gap, because we're going to try to swing for game next turn. We don't draw due to offerings, so might as well try this. We're going to try to swing in directly for game. Of course, they'll Nightmare Wheel that, and then the end phase they'll flip Zoma. And just like that, all of a sudden, it was our game, but it is slowly becoming their game. Unfortunately, they set another back row. They have Zoma swing over our Peacekeeper. Their back row is Dust Tornado. We're going to take the damage, but what's cute about Peacekeeper here is it says if it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard from the field, you can add a Union from deck to hand. So this does give us a way to add Union monsters outside of Union Hanger being our quote-unquote skill. But unfortunately, we're not left with many options, so we'll see what we can pull out of our butt here on our next draw phase. Hopefully the Y Dragon Head can combo with something beautifully. And then we top deck YuGiOh, so we actually have the frontline base combo, but they have the Dust Tornado, so we can't do anything with that. At this point, we're just going to pass. We could set the Y Dragon Head, but the cute option here is if they don't top deck a monster, and we kind of just throw it into their hands here. If they don't top deck a monster and they swing for 18, maybe the Y Dragon Head could be used on a backup combo next turn. I just don't want to sacrifice the card to anything since everything's like a 2-card combo in this deck. Good thing they didn't. They drew another Zoma, which, you know, is a thing. But we draw into frontline base, so let's try this combo again, shall we? We'll activate it. They'll actually have no response. We drop the Y and we tribute it for YuGiOh. Now the Zoma dies and we swing in for game. Now, to be fair, we won that game literally off top decking God and having YuGiOh both times. So it wasn't really the deck's fault. Hey, we dropped X, Y, and Z. Let's see if we can just... Hey, look at that. Summon the boy. Alright, great. Fantastic. Let's go into these deck lists. I mean, this deck is interesting. Obviously, we won't get as broken a skill as the Union Hanger skill, so it's debatable to see what they'll actually give us, because by itself, I don't think this is enough. But anyways, you guys know how this goes. It's 2 Gap, 3 Gear Free, 3 Command Knight, 3 Sage, 2 Offerings, 3 Zoma, 3 Nightmare Wheel, 3 Dust, Lava, 2 Sphere, Offerings, Twisters. We haven't changed it. What you all came here for, however, is this deck, and that is this Union bullshit. Now, let's explain real quick. The side deck is a bunch of mishmash of ideas and options. I never really got too far. Even we were going to try Twisted Personality before we made up our own skill here. So there's a lot to work with and a lot to unpack, but it's 3X, 3Y, 3Z. That's the main package of the deck, obviously. This is your engine. To pair with that, we also have things like 2 YuGiOhs to stall with, but also to just beat face in thanks to frontline base. It makes it a lot easier to drop this thing, which is really cool. Then we have the 2 Peacekeeper. Now this card is like a Stratos for the deck. It's a little bit slower. Obviously it's not quite Union Hanger, but we don't really expect to get Union Hanger from what I understand. Unless it ends up being the skill of old. So it's still a card, it's still an equip if it's destroyed in the field. That's that. Sphere Karibo is a nice little defense. I'm not sure if it's necessary yet, but you do clog up your spell and traps very quickly, so this card can be super relevant. 2 frontline base, this card's insane. Only reason we don't play 3 is because it clogs. I don't see why this won't be in that box. That definitely should be. It's like a staple for a Union support when Konami releases Union support. Unfortunately, like I said, X-Head Cannon's not a Union, so you get the most out of Y and Z. But, you know, it is what it is. We played going through some of these options on paper. Combination attack sounds fantastic, but it's a little all or nothing, so I'm not really sure how I feel about that yet. We played the 2 Iron Draw. This card came up more than I thought it would to get that extra 2 draw. With frontline base, it's really good. And obviously we round out the order with triple offerings. We're playing the YuGiOh package, so we're not playing any traps. That's the only reason I didn't end up playing something like Rollout in the deck, and that's, yeah, I mean, you can see that down there in the side deck. The side deck's just a mishmash at this point. As far as the extra deck, we played 2 YZ, 1 XY, and 1 XZ, along with 2 XYZ. Although after playing this, you really don't drop XYZ all that much. It's kind of like the win-all, be-all type thing. Like I said, I'd rather have just the monsters equipped with stuff. If I need the effect, then great. Actually, you could probably go through this and cut a few things, but going back to this, YZ I thought would come up the most, considering Y and Z are the 2 effect monsters that work with Hanger and Peacekeeper and stuff, since X-Head's not a Union. So that's why we're just playing 2, because it's the most generic. I was going to try Union Driver, even though everyone tells me this isn't going to come. I mean, come on. I think Union Driver's fine, but it also is really slow, so by itself. But yeah, like I said, X-Head doesn't work with Peacekeeper. It doesn't work with anything, so I figured this would be the most relevant one that you'd drop. Although destroying face-down monsters is probably the weakest effect of all of them. And keep in mind, if they flip that thing face-up somehow, then it doesn't resolve. This is probably the best one. If I was going forward, I'd probably cut an XYZ for another one of these, because it destroys a face-up spell and trap. And they're not really chaining to flip their spell and traps face-down. So the cards are really good. XZ tank, whatever, destroys face-down spell or traps, but like a lot of the time, if your opponent flips that spell or trap face-up, then it ends up just being irrelevant. So it's a nice one-of, but I don't think it's necessary. But like I said, yeah, if I go forward with this, I definitely am going to cut an XYZ for an XY, because there's no reason not to. And yeah, looking forward, I could see this being a skill if this top effect was once per duel, and the bottom effect was also once per duel. Like, not once per turn, definitely once per duel. If they were both once per duel, I could see this. I don't think it'll be in Battle City box, but I could see it over time, maybe in the next set or whatever. I feel like a skill like unauthorized reactivation, where it just targets once per duel, is a little lackluster. It's not that great. But being able to search once and then also equip once, I feel like that justifies it a bit more. And it's on the field, so obviously the field warrants the more busted effect because you can chain to it. Like, if this was outside the game, this would be absolutely insane. Even though both effects would still be once per duel. But then again, Cocoon of Vulture Evolution is outside the game, so what do I know? DDR, I'm not sold on this. Again, on paper, this looks really cool. But you can brick with this a lot. It depends where you draw it, and then it kind of forces you to fuse, and sometimes that's not good, but it does combo well with Jinzo. Whatever you bring back can be attributed for Jinzo. Also, if you have Jinzo on the field, you can activate it and summon something else to try to kind of beat face in one turn, since it is a spell card. I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot more playtesting that can be done with something like this, but I don't want to go too hard on my predictions, especially if they don't come to fruition. So, I mean, you know, you can only go with so much. I would play Prideful Roar in this deck if it wasn't for Jinzo. I really do like this card, keeping my XYZs alive. But again, if I'm playing this, then I'm playing Zomos, then I'm playing Nine Rules, and I'm probably playing Dust Tornadoes. It takes up too much space in this deck, because your engine already takes up a gigantic amount of space. So it's just easier to play the Jinzo package. You can actually cut this Offerings, and I don't know, either bring in a Twister, or just play this deck at 21, or you could cut an Iron Draw and actually play the deck at 20. Like, it's real easy to mess around with. And obviously, this isn't like a set-in-stone list either. I'm just coming up with ideas here on the fly. Sphere Karibo, like I said, I feel it's pretty solid. Like, it didn't come up, so I couldn't really show you what it can do. But the whole fact of is just, obviously, keep your thing alive, keep your Jinzo alive. But also, like, you're locking out your zones between frontline base and whatever you're equipping, plus the offerings that you're setting, so Sphere X is another trap card without taking up a zone. But guys, what do you think? Leave your comments down below what you think about this deck and the combos that may get... What do you think the skill that we end up getting for this deck is? Obviously, Union Hanger's like wishful thinking. Obviously. And it definitely won't be once per turn. It'd be once per duel for both effects, if it ever came. But let me know in the comments down below. Comment, like, and subscribe. As always, click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates. And guys, do you want to see more videos like this? Let me know. With the prediction video, sometimes it's not really great in my opinion, because it's like, why make a video about cards that aren't confirmed? And if they don't ever get confirmed, it's kind of like a waste of a video. But if you guys want to see this more, then let me know, and I'd be glad to test out more of my predictions. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the flip side.